My ex tried to ruin my new relationship, so I ruined his reputation publicly. Prologue. If you've ever left a toxic relationship, you know the end isn't always the end. Some exes just don't know how to let go. My ex, let's call him Ethan, was one of those people. He didn't just try to win me back. He tried to destroy everything I built after him, especially my new relationship. But what he didn't know is I don't break, I rebuild. And when you try to sabotage me, I don't cry, I get even. This is how I turned the tables and destroyed his reputation so thoroughly. Even his mother blocked him. The setup, Ethan and I were together for a little. Over 2 years. In the beginning, it felt like a movie. He was charming, funny, attentive. He knew how to say all the right things. But slowly, the red flags stopped being cute little quirks and started bleeding all over my life. He got jealous if I spent time with anyone else. He joked about how I dressed unless I looked like I was on my way to a convent. And worst of all, he made me feel like I was lucky just to have him. When I tried to leave the first time, he cried. The second time, he yelled. The third time, he threatened to hurt himself. So yeah, I stayed longer than I should have. Because guilt is a powerful leash dot, but eventually, therapy and a few amazing friends helped me break free. I moved out. I went no contact. And I started living again. A new beginning, fast forward 6 months. I had my own place, a new job, and for the first time in years, I actually liked waking up in the morning. That's when I met Daniel. Daniel is the kind of person who actually listens when you talk. He doesn't just wait for his turn to speak. He's calm, secure, patient. No mind games, no emotional roller coasters. It honestly took me a while to believe he was real. We started dating slowly, carefully. I was upfront about my past with Ethan, and Daniel never judged. If anything, he admired me for walking away from it. And for a while, it was good. Number, drama, no fear. No walking on eggshells, but peace doesn't sit well with people like Ethan. The first bomb had started small. I got a weird message from an unknown Instagram account. You think your new guy's faithful? LOL. Ask him about Lila. No context. No pictures. Just a whisper of poison. I showed it to Daniel. He rolled his eyes and said, that's either a scam or someone trying to start asterisk. We blocked the account and moved on. Then I started getting DMs from strangers saying things like, did you know your boyfriend was texting other girls last weekend? He was at a party with some brunette. Check his location, history. You deserve better. Just saying. They were vague. Anonymous, untraceable. Daniel. Bless him, didn't even flinch. He offered to let me scroll through his phone. I didn't even need to. I knew these weren't coming from random trolls. This had Ethan's fingerprints all over it. Ethan's tactics, see. Ethan was never impulsive. He was calculated. He liked schemes. Lies that spread like mold. He wouldn't send a message directly. He'd make a burner. Then another. Then plant an idea and let it fester. I found out he'd been reaching out to people I used to work with. Pretending to be a concerned friend. Asking about my new man. Fishing for any dirt he could use. Then I got the confirmation I needed. A mutual acquaintance texted me. Hey, just a heads up. Ethan's been telling people that Daniel cheated on you. He said he has screenshots, but wouldn't show them. I thought you should know. There. It was the smear campaign. Classic Ethan. The moment I snapped at first, I wanted to ignore it. Take the high road. Block, delete, move on. But then the final straw. My boss called me into her office. She looked uncomfortable. She said she received an anonymous email claiming Daniel had multiple affairs and that I was emotionally unstable and creating a hostile work environment. The email used phrases only Ethan would use. Phrases I remembered from our fights. It didn't just try to ruin my relationship, it tried to ruin me. That's when I made a decision. If Ethan wanted war, I'd give him one. But not loud, not messy. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to silence him, publicly, thoroughly, and legally. The beginning of the end step one, documentation. I started saving every message, every burner account, Every anonymous email. I made a file with timestamps, usernames, screenshots, metadata. With some help from a tech-savvy friend, shout out to Kevin, we traced one of the Instagram DMs to an IP address that matched Ethan's. Apartment complex. Step 2. Gather allies. I reached out to others Ethan had hurt. An old friend of his ex reached out and said he did the same thing to her. Another woman said Ethan sent her revenge porn of someone else years ago. I told her I believed her and asked if she'd be willing to talk if this went legal. She said yes. Step 3. Played dumb. I made my social media spotless. Posted a few happy selfies with Daniel. Pretended like I had no idea what was going on. Ethan must have thought I was spiraling because the messages got bolder, more personal. He even sent a fake screenshot of Daniel flirting with someone else. Problem was, he forgot to blur the top bar. His battery level, carrier, and time zone matched Ethan's. Busted. That's when I knew I had enough setting. The trap, so here I was. With over 30 screenshots of burner messages, an email to my boss with obvious traces of Ethan's style, an IP address connected to Ethan's building, 2 women ready to testify he'd done the same harassment to them before. I wasn't just going to stop him. I was going to make sure no one ever trusted, hired, or dated this man again. But I had to be smart. This wasn't about screaming, he's evil, on social media. People ignore drama. They believe receipts. Building the case, I reached out to a lawyer. Not to sue yet, but for legal advice. She confirmed something important. What Ethan was doing could qualify as defamation, targeted harassment, and possibly cyberstalking, especially since he involved my workplace. She told me, if you can tie the accounts to him and show he's interfering with your job and reputation, you have a case. It's even stronger if others will speak out about similar behavior. Bingo. Operation. Mirror, I created a brand new email under a fake name and messaged Ethan from it. I pretended to be another ex-girlfriend of Daniel's, saying, he's with that girl now? Wow. She's knew who he really is. And guess what? Ethan took the bait got he replied using one of his burners. Oh my God. Thank you. I've been trying to warn her. She doesn't listen. Can you send me anything that'll help me prove it? He was ready to conspire with a total stranger. And this time, I was recording everything. Screenshots, headers, even the time it took him to reply. This wasn't just petty ex behavior anymore. It was a pattern. A dangerous one. The professional fallout while all this was happening. I also met with HR at my job. I showed them the email my boss got, the evidence I had, and the pattern of harassment that they took it seriously. Like, very seriously. They launched a formal investigation and even offered to bring in cyber specialists if it escalated. I was told to notify them if anything else came in. But more importantly, they stood by me. They made a note in my file that the email was part of a personal harassment campaign and would not be held against me professionally. Score 1 for the good guys. The exposure begins, but I wasn't done. Ethan was a freelancer. He worked in marketing and branding, often doing gigs for influencers and small businesses. I knew exactly where to hit him, his reputation, using a burner of my own. I started contacting a few of the businesses he worked with. All I said was, hi, just a heads up. You may want to do a background check on your freelancer. He's currently being investigated for targeted harassment and online defamation. Happy to share proof privately. Most ignored it. But one woman replied. She was the owner of a sustainable skincare brand and had been using Ethan for social media strategy. After I sent her screenshots. Just a few. The ones with him mocking Daniel and offering to ruin his image. Her reply was, I'm sick to my stomach. He just pitched me a smear strategy for one of my competitors. I thought he was joking. Now I don't. She fired him immediately. She even posted vaguely on her Instagram stories about cutting ties with a toxic vendor. Ethan saw it. And that's when he cracked. the meltdown text I got a message from an unknown number a few days later. No burner accounts this time thought it was Ethan. You think you're clever? You've always been a manipulative little b asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk. Do you want war? You got it. Classic deflection. No apology. Just rage. But that message? It was the best gift he could have given me because it tied everything directly to him. No more anonymous. No more doubt. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Her response? He just nailed the coffin shut. Turning point, police involvement. I didn't think I'd need to go this far. But after Ethan sent a threatening message from a traceable number, my lawyer suggested I file a police report. Not to get him arrested, but to document everything formally. I walked into the station with a folder of screenshots, both printed and digital, the threatening message, testimonies from other women, and a written summary of the timeline. The officer I spoke to was surprisingly empathetic. He said, "This isn't the first time we've heard of this kind of thing. Online abuse is hard to prove, but you've got a very solid case." They didn't arrest Ethan yet, but they opened a case file and gave me an incident number. They also sent him a formal warning letter about harassment. It scared him. I know it did. Because everything went quiet for a while at the Slippery, last move just when I thought it was over, Ethan tried one last play. He posted a cryptic story on his Instagram. From his main account this time. Be careful who you trust. Some people will play the victim while stabbing you in the back. The caption was vague. The tone, petty and desperate. But the comments told the real story. People started turning on him. Dude, didn't you harass your ex's new boyfriend? Wait, weren't you the one who got fired last week? You always play the victim card. Grow up. I didn't have to say a word. He destroyed his own image just by trying to act like he still had control. Closure is coming. At this point, I had legal protection, his connections dropping him, his own followers doubting him, and peace in my life again. Daniel and I, stronger than ever. He stood by me through everything, never questioned me, never made it about him. He even helped me organize the case file when we were prepping for the police report. But I wasn't quite finished yet, because one more thing remained. Something poetic. Something final. And it was time to make it public without ever naming his name. I had everything, evidence, witnesses, a police record. And best of all, Ethan was unraveling in public, all on his own. But I didn't want him to just disappear into silence. That would be too easy. I wanted him to face exactly what he tried to do to me, in a way that couldn't be denied, or rewritten, and I knew exactly where to do it. Ethan had a presence in a few online freelance communities. He gave talks on ethical branding, ran webinars, and moderated a private Slack group where hundreds of small business owners traded marketing tips and referrals. That community was his professional lifeline. It was where he got most of his clients, and it was also where I was quietly lurking, with permission from a friend who was already in the group. We waited for the perfect moment. It came sooner than expected. Ethan posted a long, dramatic thread in the Slack channel about cancel culture and how people lie for attention, and you can't trust anyone you date anymore. He didn't mention me by name. But everyone in that space knew he had just been dropped by a major skincare brand. The timing was obvious. The bitterness in his tone was obvious. What he didn't realize was that one of the moderators was a woman. He ghosted years ago after promising her a job referral. She reached out to me privately and said, "If you have something to say, now's the time." He's burning every bridge in real time. So I spoke up, using my friend's account with their full consent. I posted a response in the same thread. No insults. No slander. Just facts, I wrote. I usually don't engage in threads like this, but since the topic is accountability, I want to share something. Over the last 3 months, someone in this group launched a coordinated harassment campaign against his ex and her current partner. This included impersonating people online, creating fake cheating scandals, contacting her workplace with false accusations, and trying to sabotage her reputation and relationship. All of this has been documented, screenshots, IP matches, witness statements, And even a police report, I won't name here, but he knows who he is. And so do many of you. This isn't about cancel culture. This is about a man trying to destroy someone who dared move on without him. Silence. For 10 minutes, the thread went dead. Then the comments started pouring in. Some people asked for proof. Fair enough. I had receipts ready. I shared a Google Drive folder, stripped of identifying details, that showed the anonymous messages, the fabricated screenshots, and a letter from the police confirming the harassment report. I didn't need to write anything else. The receipts spoke for themselves. And Ethan, he vanished, logged out, deleted his comment history. Within an hour, his account was deactivated. Word spread. The mod who ghosted me earlier messaged me directly and said, "You did the right thing. That man's been skating on charm and manipulation for too long." Within a week, multiple businesses he worked with either dropped him or posted public statements about revisiting their contractor screening policies. One brand even issued a full apology, saying they were unaware of his conduct and would be more careful going forward. What surprised me most wasn't that people believed me. It was how many others came forward. 3 more women, all from different cities, messaged me with eerily similar stories. The pattern was identical. Charming beginning, slow isolation, manipulative tactics. Breakup followed by anonymous online harassment. I connected 2 of them with my lawyer, just in case they wanted to pursue charges of their own. But for me, this was enough. I didn't want Ethan in jail. I didn't want to ruin his life beyond repair. I just wanted to stop. To be seen for who he truly was. And for him to understand that hurting people isn't a game you always win. When he lost his credibility, his client base, and his status in that community, I knew it was over. He messaged me one last time from a different number. It was short, no anger this time. "You win. Hope it was worth it." I didn't reply, because it wasn't a game. There was no prize for me. Just peace. Daniel and I are still together. Stronger than ever. We still laugh sometimes about the whole situation, especially the part where Ethan forgot to crop the battery percentage out of his fake screenshots. It's become an inside joke now. Check your battery, babe. But behind the humor is something deeper. A bond that was tested and survived. And a lesson I'll never forget. Toxic people don't just disappear when you leave them. Sometimes you have to burn down the lies they built around you. Piece by piece, until all that's left is the truth. And that truth, I'm not a victim. I'm the storm that followed. You'd think that after Ethan vanished from the Slack group and started getting dropped by clients, he'd fade into the background quietly. But toxic people rarely disappear without leaving a little trail of drama behind. A few days after his meltdown, one of my friends messaged me and said Ethan had posted a vague story on his private Instagram. Something like, "People love to play the victim while destroying your life behind the scenes." I'll be back. It didn't get much attention. Most people ignored it. But one of his old coworkers commented, "Bro, just take the L." That made me smile. I didn't engage. I didn't reply. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. At that point, I realized something crucial. He had already lost Dot. The people he tried to manipulate didn't believe him. The people he worked with stopped trusting him. And the new followers or fake accounts he created to keep stalking my life, they disappeared once there was no reaction. He thrived on power, and once I took that away, by staying calm, staying factual, and refusing to give him what he wanted, he had nothing left. What happened next legally? Nothing ever escalated to a court case, and I was fine with that. Ethan was issued a formal warning by police, which stays on file. He backed off, and more importantly, he was exposed in the one space he couldn't afford to lose. His professional network. Daniel and I eventually moved in together. And I don't say this lightly. This man became my rock throughout the chaos. When Ethan's fake messages were flooding in, Daniel would just shrug and say, "He's doing you a favor. He's showing everyone how insecure he really is." Daniel never once let it get to him. He didn't fall into the trap. And when things got serious, when lawyers got involved, when the harassment reached my workplace, he stood by me without a second of hesitation.
If Ethan's whole goal was to poison my relationship, he failed harder than he'll ever admit. All he did was prove how solid we are. The women who reached out won. Of the most unexpected outcomes of this whole ordeal was how many other women contacted me afterward. Some of them were exes of Ethan. Some had only dated him briefly. Others had worked with him and noticed weird behavior, but couldn't put it into words at the time. They all thanked me for speaking up, for documenting it, for not letting him rewrite the story. A woman I'll call Anna sent me a long message explaining how Ethan had dated her for a few months 2 years ago, then ghosted her after she confronted him about flirting with her friends when she tried. To call him out, he spread rumors that she was mentally unstable. Sound familiar? She said, I thought I was just being dramatic. I thought maybe I overreacted. But when I saw what you posted, I realized it wasn't just me. He's been doing this for years. That part hit me harder than anything else. Because when you're in the middle of it, when someone is gaslighting you, blaming you, twisting reality, you do start to wonder if maybe you're the problem, but you're not. And if this story does anything, I hope it reminds someone reading or listening that you're not alone. And you're not crazy for trusting your gut. What I learned this whole experience left me with a few lessons. I won't forget. First, silence isn't always the high road. Sometimes, silence enables people to keep hurting others. Speaking up isn't about revenge, it's about truth. And truth, when spoken clearly and confidently, is louder than any scream. Second, document everything. If someone is harassing you, online or offline, don't delete the messages. Don't brush it off. Keep a record. You never know when you'll need it. And trust me, screenshots are more powerful than 1,000 arguments. Third, abusers often thrive in spaces where they can control the narrative. Ethan had charisma. He was smart, persuasive. But the second his story was challenged by facts, he folded like a house of cards. Lastly, you don't have to become like them to win. I didn't lie. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I used the truth, patience, and a community of people who had the courage to come together. And that was more than enough. Today, it's single quotes. It's been almost a year since Ethan last contacted me. He never apologized. I don't expect him to. But in the time since, I've rebuilt so much. Not just my peace of mind, but my confidence, my trust in other people, my ability to breathe without waiting for the next crisis. Daniel and I adopted a dog. We've traveled. We've started talking about marriage. But there's no pressure. We're just happy. And every once in a while, I get a message from someone who read the story or heard about it through mutuals, and they just say, thank you. This gave me the courage to leave. That means more than Ethan's apology ever could. The last thing I'll say, someone tries to destroy your peace because they can't control your life anymore. That's not love. That's ego. And people like that always think they'll win because they've won before. But every manipulator has a breaking point. Ethan reached his. And the only reason he couldn't destroy me is because I stopped playing his game. So if you're out there dealing with a toxic ex or a manipulative ex-friend or someone trying to sabotage your life because they can't handle your glow up, just know this. You don't have to out-yell them. You just have to outlast them. Let the truth be your voice. And when you rise, because you will, don't look back.